Now on to Ireland's fabled Céad Míle Fáilte. How important is it to the Irish tourism experience? Well, if anyone knows, it should be our next guest, who needs no introduction. It is Francis Brennan of At Your Service fame. Francis. There he is. You're very, very welcome.
Thank you very much. Do you have a choice, a chair?
Well, if you sit over there, it'll make me look really bad. You're very welcome.
Great, nice to be here, and thank you for asking me to come.
We're delighted to have you here.
I'm one of the oldies in the room.
Veterans, we call them.
Oh, veterans, is it?
Veterans, yeah. I
That
think.
sounds much nicer.
Although nobody likes to be a veteran anyway.
But they might think, but a veteran, do you not be going around with a gun? No?
No.
No?
Well, maybe you do when you go around telling people to clean the rooms.
We won't fight over it, so.
Let's look a little bit into the Céad Míle Fáilte. In Ireland's ancient tradition, we had, of course, our own legal system, the Brennan laws.
Oh, yes.
And there was an actual law in the Brennan law, which was that you had a sacred and a legally binding contract that applied to every single household. It required your hosts to feed, where necessary, clothe, provide drinks, to a bed to all strangers, and also to entertain them as well. Critically, all without any payment. But it's part of the reason, perhaps, that welcome is in our DNA, because it goes back very, very deep. When you look at that 100,000 welcomes, what does it actually mean to you? Because so many people, and including Timmy Mallet, have spoken about that. It's with a tangible and an intangible value.
It's funny, because when the other speakers were speaking, an awful lot of them were going along the same line about what I was going to speak about, including Timmy, about the hospitality. Like, I worry at times, like the welcome, the 100,000 welcome, I'd say is around 50 to 60,000 now, if you want to put it into percentages. It has slipped hugely in the last number of years.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and the reason being is that the traditional bed and breakfast, which we all knew very well, and which was the foundation of Irish hospitality, really, has changed completely. There's no kind of Brennan tea and sit down and have a scone and a smell of an Irish breakfast, and all of those things that created a warm atmosphere for a tourist when they'd come and visit. That's kind of gone. There's you know yourself, there's very few bed and breakfasts left in the country.
And is that, though, just like a function of so many different factors? It's globalization, it's raising standards in it, or maybe it could be that, like a lot of industries, maybe the sons or daughters are not taking on that business. Like, what do you think is
the major
change
for that, is that the sons and daughters and the family are not interested. The youngsters, the amount of work in a bed and breakfast, and there are people here would have done it. Like, if you have 10 rooms and you have 10 linen changes every morning coming down the stairs, that is not funny. You have an awful lot of work to do. And the youngsters of today, well, we're all more educated now, and we all have the opportunity of going to higher paid jobs and tech and all the rest. So people are not, the tradition is slipped an awful lot. And I worry that as a result of that, we lose the 100,000 welcomes.
And is there any other reason that you think that welcome may have, changed,
Well, I mean, we've had a huge rise in middle standard hotel, like 3 and 4 stars, huge rise, okay? And a lot of them came in the last number of years since COVID and around that time, and the crash of 12 and 14. A lot of places had hotels built that were built by the county council, really. All right, they weren't built by the council. The county council was chasing the rates on that hotel when it opened. But they built the hotel, crash came, and the hotel either didn't open or opened at a very low level. So the plan for that hotel in towns all around Ireland, there are these modern hotels which were never meant to be there really at all. They had no attraction in the area where they were to bring people in. And that became a problem. And then they started selling very cheap. And then the bed and breakfast, which was probably $125 to $165 a night, was against a hotel at $145. And everybody thought, the hotel is a bar and we'll go there. So it was the demise of the bed and breakfast that led to a lot of the changes in the market today.
But can you see that undergoing a revival?
Well, we do the television show At Your Service, and actually there has been a revival in the sort of 15-bedroomed units around the country. We're filming it this year now. There's 2 of them out of the 4 the shows we're in the middle of them. I was filming on last Saturday, I'm filming next Sunday as well. There's 2 new shows on bed and breakfast, upmarket, in towns, in Mitchelstown and in Cappoquin, where there's going to be...
They're nearly boutique. then.
Yeah. But they're based on the bed and breakfast. You know, they're not based on a hotel. They don't have like porters and all the rest. So that is, there's kind of a little bit of a movement there, but not enough to change the thing. And then a lot of the hotels nowadays are like, I was in London last week, or 2 weeks ago, and I stayed in the Dearbhail hotel, which I only stayed because I'd read about it, and it's all tech, everything's to do with tech. And you check in, you see nobody, you go to your room, you put your door in. The bedroom is very small, everything is perfect in it, there's not a thing wrong, but it's not really an experience.
And you do the express checkout. I must say, sometimes when you're traveling for business, that's exactly maybe perhaps what you need. But I think maybe what you're talking about is that personal touch. And do you think that is what we are at risk of losing? Like, I mean, how important is that?
Well, the personal touch is very important. I always remember this story. I met a man 6 weeks ago in Louth. We're filming up in Carlingford, right? And I met a man there, okay? And he said to me, I remember you from Park Nasilla. Now, that's a long time ago. That's like 78, 79, right? I said, oh, God, you have a great memory. And he says, I'll never forget what happened to me on checking in. I said, what happened? I'm thinking, oh, my God, what went wrong? So he said, I came to reception. There was a girl sitting behind the desk, and she says, can I help you? And he said, yes, I'm checking in. Oh, she says, you're very, very welcome. She said, and what's the family name? And he says, Barrett. Oh, and she says, very good. Now, this is internet and all that sort of, so we had registration forms. You had to fill it out, you know.
By hand?
By hand, yeah. But it was Park Nasilla, the Great Southern, where I was working. We always wrote your name because we could read your writing, because, you know, people's writing is dodgy at times. So we would write the name. So Della, the girl, is at the desk, and she's writing. She says, and the family name? He says, it's Barrett. Oh, you're very welcome. So she goes, B-A-R-R-E-T. And she turns the thing around for him to fill the address. And he looks down and he says, oh, no, it's 2 T's. Oh, she says, 2 T's. Didn't I think you were checking in? If you want 2 T's, take a seat in the lounge. And I'll send the waitress over to you. Now, that happened to him 40 years ago. And he told me it 6 weeks ago. I had heard it before. But he told me 6 weeks ago that he was the man. So you can't beat that.
Yeah.
You know, and he's talking about that for 40 years, and I checked in the Dearbhail with a terminal. Do you know what I mean?
I was recently in London, and in one of those lovely sort of posh venues where, when you said like a piece of black pudding and toast, and then just one comes out. It's a huge, big plate with this one thing. And the guy that was serving me just decided to share this anecdote that it was much, much better if you put a wedge of lemon just over it.
On the pudding?
On the black pudding, that it lifted the taste. And we spoke for 25 minutes about the piece of lemon on a piece of black pudding, where that came from. Somebody else had told him. And I just realised that with nearly half an hour had passed, and I'm now, because I have learnt this beautiful curse, it actually works very well, I am now kind of, it's a story.
Yeah.
It's a
How
story.
many times have you told that story? Not here now. How many times have you told that story?
Anytime anybody goes eat their breakfast.
Yeah. You see?
And we ended up talking about where he was from and the whole, thing. But it was just, I just had an extra little bit of time before I was moving on somewhere else. And it was just that we were able to linger on a conversation that then went off in many directions.
It's all to do with the personal touch.
Yeah.
And that was like we, at the hotel, we were small. We had 72 staff, so we're small, right? But all the waitresses and waitresses would be serving breakfast. And if you said, oh, I love their scones, she passes that to me at reception. And when you're leaving, I have a little plastic bag with 6 scones in it, all right? And I send you off with your 6 scones. Or we send children off with curly whirlies. I don't know what it is, but when you give a child a curly whirly, he's so excited. It's beyond belief. Now, I can tell you, by the time he got home, his father was raging because curly whirlies dropped the chocolate
everywhere,
like a magnum. So I say there was chocolate all over the car. Yeah. But there are small little things you can do that the people will never forget.
And what are they? Like when you kind of talk about that, because everybody who's been up here on the stage has been just, it's basically about encounters.
It's to be authentic. Like we used to do, there was 2 things we used to do. Every Saturday morning, John, my barman, who's a great walker up and down the mountains, all right, would take a party from the hotel. It could be 12 people or it could be 20, and we bus you up to the top of the Kerry Mountains, and you walk back down through to Kenmare. Now, he knew every stone on that trip. And by the time he took those 16 people from A to B, okay, they would have had a story of something that would be of interest to them, authentic. And then, if it was a very hot day, we meet you with cold towels at the end of the walk. At the other side of town, you have to walk through town to come back. Or if it was a very hot day, we could bring up a chalk ice. I mean, to come off the mountain and for somebody to give you a chalk ice, you talk about it forever. It's so simple.
And it's little things that, like those conversations, like those anecdotes, that have longevity. They travel far.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're dealing with 16 different people every week and 16 different magnums, and off you go. So your story expands hugely, you know. But you do have to build a team too. It's very important in a hotel that you build a team. Like, as I said, we had 72 staff. For 42 years, I took them on a continental holiday as far as Las Vegas and Egypt. Right. Now, people say, oh God, you're marvellous. But I'll just tell you how it worked. When you were we had no service charge at the hotel, so you're checking out, you leave 100, 200. So we divided up between us all, and we all get €1. Okay, so forget that. So we put it into a fund managed by the staff. They see it all the time. At the end of the year, there might be 15,000, 18,000 in it. I personally match that every year. And whatever part of the price of the holiday was available, we took between 40 and 50 people away every year. Now, do you think I was, like, I did enjoy it, and as I said, we went all over the world. Did I enjoy it? I did, but what I loved was that the chef danced with the housekeeper, and the housekeeper danced with the barman, and we had this ongoing circle, and one time, over a 15-year span, okay, I looked, we only had a 7% staff turnover over 15 years.
Wow.
So
that is impressive.
It's all about building the team.
Yeah.
And then the team goes on. You know, all the staff were like your friend with the black pudding. All my staff were like that. They chat away to you. Where are you going? What are you doing? Stop there. Go here. Whatever. Ask Mr. Brennan. He knows where everything is. And you know that was the way we did it. But that was just us. We were just lucky. That's what we did.
And I know, obviously, you know, you have a huge visibility. How important, and I think it was Mark Little earlier was talking about the difference between a leader and a manager.
Oh yeah, I picked up that
which I thought was a really, really interesting distinction. But how important in an age where, you know, administration is a huge part of it, managing the cost of business is a huge part of it, how important is it for the GM and for other leaders in hotels in particular, but in the industry in general, to be visible and to be out and about and to be part of that value proposition? Hugely
important. And unfortunately, in the last number of years, the GM is sort of centred towards figures and percentages and what HR and all of that in an office. So he doesn't come out as much as before. I mean, very clever. Many years ago, P.V. Doyle in Dublin, in the Berkeley Court, hired Jack Donnelly, who was a man about town. And all he did was stood in the front hall and talked to everybody. And everybody loved it. It was very clever of PV in those years past. Or Aidan Doyle in Annabelle's nightclub. He was the front, he was there. It was hard work, he was there every night, said hello to everybody, everybody loved him, he could always get you a table or whatever. They are the connections that we need in life, and they are what bring memories.
And what about, you know, that, because it is actually quite tough, you know, we saw John Healy getting honoured today, but when we look at all of the people who have been honoured in the past, you know, one of the key things is they're available day or night, you know, that they're willing to go the extra mile on a personal level. It's a demanding business.
Like, I should have been a priest because I was in a vocation, all right? But it was in the hotel business, not in the priesthood,
and
right?
do people confess to you? They say they do.
We had nothing to confess. We were all dead straight where we were. No, yeah, but the hotel business now is a vocation. And it is, you have to be out saying hello to your guests and welcoming them. And that is gone hugely in Ireland.
But is that
I stayed in 59 hotels last year in Ireland, okay? At your service and all the things, all over, from Donegal to Kerry and everything.
Are they terrified when they see you coming in the door?
Well, there's a lot of high dusting done, all right, I can tell you. When I stayed in 59 hotels, and probably, as I sit here, 9 of them are memorable.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening now, you know, because...
So what's missing then?
Oh, the personal touch and the warm welcome and the hello from the manager, wherever it might be. Like, it's not their fault. It's the corporate nature of a lot of the hotels that are around the place now. And the more places that buy hotels, like as in I have 7 hotels or I have 9 hotels, you know, it gets less and less, the hospitality element. I mean, that's why, I had 5 or 6 opportunities of opening hotels in Dublin, okay? But when I analysed it, I thought, well, if I go to Dublin, I won't be in Kenmare, and Kenmare won't be as successful, and blah, 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 so I just stayed in Kenmare.
Where you've been very, very happy.
And I got a big check when I left, so I was more than happy.
You were more than happy. Always look after the bottom line at the same time, Francis. We're here in this beautiful, beautiful five-star Lyrath estate. There was a time, probably, was there what? Probably less than five-star hotels on the island here?
When we opened the park, there was five-star hotels in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland now. I don't know about the north. Okay, and now we have, I think it's 59 if I'm not mistaken, all right? And every day of my life, I'm on a couple of apps, Skift and the Caterer magazine. I get news reads every morning. Like, five-star hotels never stop opening now. Every single thing that's opening is a five-star hotel. So the competition is fierce worldwide now, not just in Ireland, okay? And to be special, you have to do something special, and that requires that you're available and on the front floor saying hello to everybody, giving them an experience. There's another thing we used to do in Kenmare. If we had a group coming of 20 or 30 people, as a group now, right, we would offer them a night where they would go to a house in town and have dinner with an Irish family. Now, the Irish family were staff, but they didn't necessarily know that. That was fine. And we did all the cooking, okay? And it was the same menu every time: smoked salmon, Irish stew, and Bailey's diddly-do tart or something like that.
Happens in every family house every single night.
So the standard of food was correct all over, okay? But the amount of people to this day that have connected with people from what we used to do then too, if you're coming on an incentive group, John Healy put many of them into me over the years, all right? Coming with an incentive group, if your husband, generally incentive groups, they're all in the car business or something, all right? But if your wife or your husband was a postman or a dentist or a doctor, we would try and get that house. So you'd have something to talk about when you get there. The amount of fun we created in life, and still going with families changing, coming over for 2 weeks with their children and children going to America for 2 weeks. It was fantastic.
What I've loved about the way you work is an incredible sense of fun in what can be quite a very, very demanding business, but also your sense of innovation. And are we calling you a veteran? As a veteran, you've seen probably every economic cycle
we've been through a good few
to see. So when you hit those inevitable hard yards, what are you thinking? What are you doing? What are you doing to try and keep?
Well, the most difficult months in situations like that would be January and February, and especially from Sunday night to Thursday, because you'd be struggling to get business. And I remember one time, what was the Cork Examiner, which is now the Examiner. Okay, better get that right or I'll be killed. It was now the Examiner. We used to advertise a bit in that. And I put an ad in one time for to come and stay at the park for 50% off, all right, which was a good reduction, but was still fine. Okay, 50% off for people that held an Irish passport in Munster, all right. So, like, I mean, people didn't. They were ringing up asking, "What does that mean?" A man rang from Cove in Cork, right, to say that his wife was English and would she be allowed to come? Like, it was so stupid. The advertisement was so stupid because it was like it made everybody think, what? But listen, we got business from Sunday to Thursday out of it, and it did us no harm at all. So you have to think like ridiculous and hope it works.
Yeah. Talk to me about, because obviously there has been a huge conversation today about price, the cost of business, you know, right across the sector. Do you perceive us as some people might say, well, look, Ireland is an island. It's never been a cheap destination by virtue alone of its island status. But do you see us as a premium destination? Is it a premium destination deserving of that title, bearing in mind your concerns about the Céad Míle Fáilte?
Now, it's interesting. Okay, all during the 80s and 90s, all right, when I was at the park, my price in the park was the same as in London. Yeah, always was. Okay, I know all the boys in London because I was on small luxury hotel boards, so I knew them all. So the price, there might be £20 in it or whatever it would be, but it would always mirror. Today, the price in Kenmare tonight, I think is $575, but the price for a 5-star in London is $1,200.
Yeah.
So we are a cheap destination still. We're value for money rather than a cheap destination. Now it's gone up hugely because probably tonight, in my time, I'm out of the hotel exactly 2 years now in a month. In my time, that rate would have been maybe $485, $520, and now it's $575. So there's been a great increase in the room rate in hotels all over Ireland. since I sold, actually, okay, and it's the roommate you make money on. So it kind of mirrors all the other problems that are around the place just somewhat. But the price of food has gone mad. I mean, I was talking to the chef at the park actually just the other day. He was getting into his car. He says, you just can't keep up. He says, every single day things are going up and up and up. And I was talking to a lady here from Cavanaugh's coaches, and she was saying coaches that they bought, I think at 280 are now 375, just like that. And and they're renting out to Globus and whoever else or whoever.
I was chatting to someone earlier who was at the Flying Championships, which is sometimes described as the Glastonbury for farmers, but they're saying they're very happy right now. They're very, very happy. But I suppose that those food prices, the price sensitivity is, it's like, that kids game Buckaroo. You can sometimes you can add little bits, but sometimes there's something that can just take it over the edge.
But the poor farmers, I'm not sure there's any poor farmers, but the farmers, all right? Like they're having a fantastic year this year, but next year now, if the nitrates things comes in, they're going to get zilch. So they have to watch out. I mean, we all had great years. Like the first year after COVID, we did a colossal turnover, right? And it was like we were 95% full for the year. So we all have times when you get a great boost, all right? So just like the farmers, you have to watch out for it in the hotel business. Because I was looking at figures from the CSO, somebody mentioned them today. The CSO figures from North America, okay, the business is up 21%, but revenue is down 9%. Now, if next year the business is only up 10%, the revenue is going to be down hugely. So it's kind of, you have to watch both sides, not just the numbers in the bed, but what price they're paying to be there.
And obviously, some of those factors are within your control, and some of them aren't. And I suppose maybe that's what the Trade Forum and all of those other initiatives that have been set up. But look, I mean, this island is caught up like everywhere else in that big, the geopolitical plays that are, happening, energy, so obviously...
Well, energy is a huge change, yeah. I mean, we went into solar quite a bit because, and we got heat pumps, okay, at the hotel, because you just have to try and mitigate the cost of general electricity. So you have to just be careful all the time. You have to watch your costs all the time. But now I used to be watching them at 12 o'clock because I'd be talking to everybody else all day. But I didn't mind. I was quite happy to do that.
What do you see as some of the biggest headwinds then, at the moment? Because I know you travel elsewhere, because sometimes we think that the challenges that we are experiencing are unique to us. But
no, they're not.
But they're not.
No, I mean, I was in New York, we were talking about it at the table in November, and for an honest to God, very simple, no style breakfast in a diner in New York, I paid $39.19. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Did it have black pudding?
I didn't, because I don't like it.
You'll never learn about the lovely land.
Listen, I think I had, fries, 2 pieces of bacon, and you know what size the bacon is, and 2 eggs. But the costs worldwide are gone mad on food. And then, of course, it's driven by rent as well. That guy was on 5th or 6th Avenue, I can't remember where it was exactly. So he's paying a colossal rent. So it's not that he's making a fortune on the $39 breakfast, but it is what it is, and you just have to get on with it. And people come here, and then they think we're dear. I don't think we're dear by American standards here. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere you pay $39 for a breakfast, and I can tell you the breakfast will be 10 times better here than it was where I got it.
Yeah.
So, there's ups and downs, and you just have to be careful and watch your costs.
So one of the things that, and we were speaking on the earlier panel just about messaging the narrative and being the best storyteller that you can, and that is something that you do so well and so authentically. So how are we going to best position ourselves? Because you said the Céad Míle Fáilte cannot be taken for granted.
Yeah.
It's not just a slogan.
Well, I think the personal touch is what will have to be kept up. It's very important, because you don't get that. You go to London and you don't get it, or you go to Paris and they eat you alive. So geez, is there any French in the room? Sorry, I shouldn't say. But do you know what I mean? It's different all over. So I think
they have a bed tax. Would you like to see a bed tax here?
Oh no, definitely not. I'm not sure it would do what we think it would do. And it's just. So it was discussed this morning. I don't believe. I mean, if you ask the room, I'll ask the room now, because it's a good question. Who'd like a bed, who thinks a bed tax might work in Ireland? See?
We're not exactly controlling for...
No, I know that. But there's not too many hands sticking up, is there? You know what I mean?
No.
So no, I wouldn't be for a bed tax at all.
You've been travelling across Europe this summer. How did you find, it was just interesting to Siobhan McManamy talking about us potentially being a good cool-cation, but how did you find travelling in Europe this summer in terms of the market?
Yeah, well, I was in Spain for a good bit, and the market's well down, okay, due to two reasons. One, again, to the cost of rising food costs, all right, and the prices in the restaurant have gone up substantially in Spain. I've been in a couple of different places, all right. And number two, their British market, which is huge for the beaches and all the rest, was down considerably this year. So it was very noticeable in restaurants that I would have seen in other years where you'd have to maybe fight for a table. Plenty of tables available. Like, it was very, very noticeable. And all the narrative in the paper, I buy an English-speaking paper over there, all the narrative was about the lack of British tourists. So it's not just ourselves, it's everywhere.
Where's your favourite holiday destination?
Oh, I hate to say this, but it's Hawaii. 85
Hawaii.
degrees every day, okay? Beautiful beaches, and the food was good, but I'm sure, I don't know, it's a good few years that I was there. But it was just, it's the weather. It was just constantly lovely. Yeah. So I've been there 3 times, so.
What would you say to younger people who are wanting, you know, maybe are considering tourism or hospitality and coming into the profession? I was even meeting some of the, you know, the younger staff members here.
Well, for me, I just loved my job. Every day I got up, went to work very happy, loved it, okay? And like, I didn't start out now at the top or had a mother and father with a silver spoon in my mouth or anything at all. It was hard work. So the way I look at it is everybody who's in college today could be as successful as I had been if they just managed to. No, I had a few breaks, I must say. You know, you always get a few breaks in life. That's kind of good. And I took chances. And the reason I took chances was because I never was at that level. Like when I was running the hotel and very successful, and I was only leasing it at that time. This is in the early 80s. I leased it for 4 years and then I bought it. I didn't live at the level of what my salary could do, because I kept thinking, sure, I'll be going to Butlins next year for a week because I can't afford to go anywhere else, because I thought I'd just be a normal guy. But it happened that it just went the right way. But everybody that's considering a job in the industry should go for it, because it can take you all around the world. You can have a great time and you can be very successful provided you work hard.
What was the most challenging part of your vocation in hospitality, and how did you come back from it? You look back now. I look back.
Well, I wouldn't want anything to change. And I'm so lucky. Yeah. I'm 72 now. Yeah, 2 days ago. I'm 72.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, that's okay. When I look back, I just had a fantastic life. Like, I traveled all over the world. I was in America probably 60 or 80 times, I think. But I was always working now. I never went to America on a ticket. I didn't do a job when I was there, whatever it might be, you know. And you can be lucky in life. You know, I remember one time I was in Germany working with Aer Lingus on doing sales calls, and going home, finished for the day, I see Hapag-Lloyd, which I didn't really know much about, but I knew they were in travel. I went into reception. I said, do you have a leisure department? Yeah, he says, Monica upstairs does that. I said, is she here? So he rang, yeah, you can go up to her. So I went up to Monica, and I said, hello, Monica, I'm from the Park Hotel in Kenmare. You don't know it, but I just want to leave you some literature. You might have somebody coming someday. And we're able to take groups into the mountains in Killarney and give them a lovely barbecue and a boat ride and a Jarvie drive and all that. We do all that.
And a curly-whirly.
And a curly-whirly, yeah. And we used to get them a small nag and a whiskey, actually. This is what we cancelled that. But anyway, I left her all that information. Forget it. Never thought of it again, okay? Put her on the mailing list. That was it. 2 years later, the phone rings in the park. And I lift the phone, because I'm well able to lift the phone. I said, hello. She said, I want to speak to Francis. I said, speaking. She says, you're the man that does picnics in the mountains. And I said, well, we could do everything. We didn't actually do picnics in the mountains. But anyway, we talked, and she came over to see me. And that September and that October, she brought a group of 60. She took the whole hotel, 2 weekends, right? Left over 150,000 pounds, okay, wow, on a weekend and it was a cold call that I just went in, and she remembered I said the picnics. Yeah. You know, so you never know where you're going to get the business or how long it's going to take to come, because it took 2 years.
And that's why the personal touch matters.
That's where she remembered the personal touch. Yeah.
And you know, just before we come to a close, I mean, I don't know, where would you pitch this moment that we are in relative to all of the previous moments? Or is it a case that, you know, Mark was talking about, you know, how kind of polycrisis is the new normal, but where would you pitch this moment that we're in?
What I would say is, Don't spend all your time on tech in the office. It's very important and can give you lots of statistics, but in our business, it's the personal touch out front. And the GMs, whoever they are here, if there's any GMs here today, you need to remember that your business is built on people, your staff and the guest, and you need to be out there saying hello. And every morning, you shouldn't be in the office between 8 and 10. You should be saying goodbye to all your guests.
Yeah. And what's the difference, finally, Francis, that makes the... what is the difference that makes the difference in challenging times for you?
To knuckle down and wangle through. I mean, we had bank troubles back in 2016, all right? Got bank troubles, if you only knew. Well,
you're among friends.
You go to the bank manager. You go to the manager. We actually called the meeting. I said, we were very good like that. We were in desperate trouble, all right? But I went into the office of the bank, okay? And the manager is there, and another fellow with them, all right? I thought, this looks trouble. Not a single thing on the desk, only a phone. So I thought, usually they have a file this thick, and they have all sorts of stuff. You know, I thought, we're in trouble here now. So that was a Thursday, lunchtime, and he says, I'm sorry to tell you that we're putting the park on the market next Friday week, and you just have to, we're taking over, okay? So I came out of the office. I got it right. But I came out of the office and I said to John, my brother, John, we have to find somebody with money between now and Saturday. So I had 3 people that had money and that were regulars at the hotel and I got on very well with. So we rang. I said, we'll start on number 1. So we started on number 1, and number 1 said, give me overnight, and I'll talk to you in the morning. I came back in the morning, he says, I have a check here for you, okay? And we got out of the bank trouble, but we took him in as a 30%.
And you said, that's what you get for not even having a plate of biscuits out on the table.
That's it.
Well bloody done.
Okay.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to such an icon.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dearbhail. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.